Hi, YouTube. Bear with me. I'm just setting up on Instagram. So I'm going to wait for people to turn up. Don't usually get many people on YouTube. I'm just sort of haven't really put the effort into YouTube yet. I don't quite know how to do that. So I'll figure it out. Okay. Hello, 11_G. Okay. Where am I? I'm on Instagram, right? Yeah. Okay. I did a Facebook Live earlier. And I'll be doing TikTok after this. So Instagram is the one where people turn up the fastest. I don't know why that is. I guess Instagram just throws it out better or something. TikTok's slower, and Facebook, I'm just growing on there. So anyway, let's get going with your parenting questions right away. I'm also filming on YouTube. That's where I save all my lives. I also save them on Facebook for, I think they save for 30 days. Anyway, it's Bratbusters Parenting Everywhere. And if you go on the link above, you can check out my free behavior board. You can buy one of my mini toddler courses or my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, how to get respect in 5 weeks, or you can hire me for coaching. You're so cool. Oh, thank you. 63, I don't get cool very often. Started following you recently, thanks. Well, thanks very much for your support. I always appreciate that. I wouldn't keep doing this if people didn't tell me I'm helping. So hopefully I'm helping. And I always say, I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to make you love parenting as much as I did. That's my goal. So good evening. Hello. Okay, so what to do with a 20-month-old who pinches and pulls hair when upset? Yeah, they're going to do crazy stuff. You just restrain them, turn them around so that they're facing the other way, and put your hand on the back of their head so they can't headbutt. And just sort of wander, don't talk to them or anything if they're screaming and tantruming. Just sort of wander around with them as if you're just going about your business and you don't even know they're there, but you're carrying them around. That's one of the ways. I got lots of different methods. That's one of the ways. How do I work on back talk from a 6-year-old? That's just a tell. It just means that you're not a leader. Remember, we're never fixing kids. They're doing exactly what you've trained them to do. You are parenting in a way that instills back talk. It's just the way it is, which is the best news you can hear, because that means you can change yourself. You can never change kids. They will follow when you lead. So you're not leading, okay? You're letting them lead. So yeah, they just don't respect you. That's all that means. And that's actually the best news you can get. You want to take full responsibility for their behavior, right? That's what parents do. That's what leaders do. So anyway, set your leadership skills up. Go check out my free behavior board. You can buy the boot camp course. It goes from 3 to 12 years old, or you can hire me for coaching. So yeah, work on yourself. We're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents. It's all about you. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with hundreds of kids and delinquent teenagers. I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it them or was it me? It's leadership. You lead, they will follow. They just do. They look up to you. You make them feel good about themselves. You make them like themselves. A kid who back talks feels like crap about themselves. Low self-esteem. So yeah, work on that. Work on your leadership and their self-esteem will go up. They'll feel good about themselves when they're with you and they'll treat you nicely. It's just the way it works. Can you give, okay. Yeah, I get asked this every day. Can you give examples of corrective actions that don't involve taking something away? Yeah, because they're not always holding a toy when you have to do a corrective action, right? So this is for under the age of 3. You don't do the behavior board. That's for 3 and above. It's toddler ages under the age of 3. So a corrective action is you either remove them from the fun or remove the fun from them, okay? So you can turn off the TV or you can remove them from a room, but you stay with them. You don't do time out in a corner. I hate that. That's seclusion and it's just humiliating and they don't learn anything. They just feel like crap. So you remove fun from them or remove them from the fun. And it always starts with a gentle no. That's how you say it, just no. And that's all you say, one word. You can do the mini therapy sessions if you want, but you may as well leave now because that is not in line with what I do at all. Those mini therapy sessions, I know they're trendy right now, discussing all the big emotions, big feelings. It's garbage, okay? That was invented for the mother. It feeds her needs. It has nothing to do with toddlers. Nothing. It's not their language. I love your reels. Reels. I'm on Instagram. A reel, I don't know. I don't do my Instagram. A reel is a video. What's the other thing? There's pictures too on Instagram, right? I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much. Reels, I guess you mean videos. I don't do my Instagram, so I don't know. The only thing I do is TikTok. Someone else does all my other platforms. Good reason for that, obviously. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Love your work. Thanks so much for your support. That's why I keep turning up here. I don't get paid for any of this. This is my what I love. I just love helping parents. And so, yeah. And not everyone's going to hire me or buy a course. This way I get to spread the word, and I love talking to you guys. So this is like Zen for me. It's like meditation. I just find this very relaxing. Okay. 13-month-old twins fight over same toys, distract. You can. They're only babies still at that age. I would use distraction. Yeah, make sure they each have a toy that's the same. You got twins, you got to have twin everything. Twin toys, twin everything. Yeah, it's not, they don't understand sharing at that age, okay? Yeah, you kind of got to wait that out. I'm going to read out my 5 top tips for parenting toddlers. And the last one will pertain to you. Okay, the first one is, number 1, my 5 top tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. That might help you. So you're always rotating their toys maybe once a week. They don't have very many toys out at any given time, but you're rotating them so they're more exciting, right? And then number 3 is when you want to connect with your toddler, you enter their world. You don't connect with them at the nail salon or a cafe. You go to the park and you roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is similar. When you're disciplining them, you discipline them in their world. None of these mini therapy sessions discussing their big emotions and big feelings. That's crap. That was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. Has nothing to do with the toddler. You enter their world. It's all about actions. When you're correcting their behavior, it's consistent corrective actions right in the moment. That's their world. You respect them enough to connect with them in their world and discipline them in their world, not your world, okay? It's not about you, it's about them. Okay, and number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. I always call toddlers crazy, but it's just that they just lack sanity. They haven't developed sanity yet, okay? They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Imagine if you were only in the world for 2 years, and for the first of those 2 years, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just forming. Okay, so that's my 5 top tips for parenting toddlers. God, I wish I could figure out a better name for that. It's a real tongue twister. I'm lousy at names. My courses have horrible names. One of them's awful, but I have to do it. It just says exactly what it is. Toddlers who hit, bite, etc. Woo, catchy title. I've thought about renaming it, but that's not my thing. 63, yep, 63 years old. Okay, how can I help? You're not, I am. How can I help a 5-year-old child to be less shy? I don't want it to okay. Shy, I'll tell you something interesting. When I was a kid, like, I've never had a shy minute in my whole life. It can be quite obnoxious because I'm so not shy. Anyway, throws people off because I just enter a room full of hundreds of strangers and I'll talk to anyone about anything. So throws people off, actually. But I remember when I was a little kid, I couldn't stand shy kids because they never talked. I thought they were mean. I thought, why aren't they friendly? Because I'd go up and talk to anyone. And like, other kids don't always understand shyness. They take it for unfriendly because they're not friendly because they're shy, right? You get what I'm saying? You have to be an extrovert to be friendly. So here's the thing, is you do role playing with your shy child and you say, okay, here's how you talk to other kids. And you do role playing. They play them, you play the other kid, then do vice versa. You play them, then they play the other kid. And you teach them how to ask questions. Oh, what's your favorite game? What shows do you like to watch? Ask other kids questions, okay? And then you rehearse and play. Have fun with it, by the way. It's not serious. It's supposed to be like theater. Have fun with this. So you teach them how to talk to other people by open-ended questions. That's how you do that. Anyway, and then if they've done this at home, so they've done it at home many, many times, but when they're out in the world, it's easier to come out. You can tell them what to do, but if you show them what to do and they act it out, they're much more likely to do it. So, but yeah, I thought that shy kids were just mean and not friendly. As a child, my mom had to explain it to me. I kept saying, oh, she's mean. And my mom knew that child and said, no, she's just shy. But I thought shy meant mean. Like, isn't that funny, eh? That's how kids interpret it. Especially an extrovert. I just thought, if you're nice, don't you talk to everyone? So I didn't understand it. Okay, how to prevent meltdowns when going to the store. Well, I don't prevent meltdowns. I deal with them when they happen. You want to prevent a meltdown? The only way to prevent a meltdown is to give them what they want, when they want, and how they want it. And then the meltdowns will get worse and worse and worse because that's their tool to get what they want. So yeah, you don't ever prevent a tantrum or a meltdown. And I'll tell you what I did with my kids. They were always in a shopping cart or in a stroller. They were never loose in a store. There's no need for that, okay? So my kids were in that shopping trolley every single time we went shopping. And I had a shopping goodie bag. I called it the supermarket goodie bag. And they got that only when they were sitting up in that shopping trolley. It was called a trolley in Australia where I raised my kids. I always forget the name of it here. Shopping cart, whatever. You know what I mean, a buggy, whatever. Anyway, they got this little thing and it opened at the top like this. And inside, I always switched it around, just get cheap little toys. They never saw this stuff anywhere else. It only went in the shopping cart goodie bag. So we had little toys in there. They had like a sippy cup with some juice or whatever. And then they had little healthy snacks in there. And they only got that when they were shopping and they had to be in something, right? And then the second they got out of it, I took that away from them. They never argued because they knew that was the rule. Yeah, if you can't prevent meltdowns, if you're afraid of a fit, a scene, or a meltdown, your kids are in charge, guaranteed. Guaranteed. If you're afraid of them, they're in charge. It reminds me of that kid. I tell this story every single day. This kid was about 8 years old, and I was working with him, and he was a challenge. And as they all were, the kids I worked with. Anyway, I was new with him, and he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. He never did. So yeah, don't ever be afraid of a fit, a scene, or a meltdown or a tantrum, because if you are, they are in charge. You are following them and they know it. Absolutely. 13-month-old hates being buckled into the car seat, so get them in anyway. It doesn't matter. Lots of them are like that. My kid went through that stage. My son did. And we used to do the karate chop. That's what my friends and I used to call it. You know, they go stiff as a board. They're not even stiff as a board. They're like that. They're so stiff. So I would just put my hand on his belly area and just wait him out. Just wait. As soon as he took a breath, whoop, karate chop, in he went, snap, snap. You just have to wait them out and physically overpower them to get them in. And they eventually learn, you know what you're doing. They just do. He was worse with his father because his father might have said, okay, how about we take a break and then we'll do. I would just sit back and watch the show. I was loving it. And yeah, so he didn't do that with me. They learn who's in charge. How can I get my 4-year-old to stay in bed, not delaying sleeping, reading books, singing? So yeah, okay. So check out my Bedtime Battles course. It's a whole process. It's actually a 2-part course. The first part is the bedtime routine, how to get them in bed. Then the hard part is how to keep them there. So check it out. It's going to be a night of hell, but it's worth it. One night usually. Yeah. I have one, this client was hilarious, and they did it. They were actually, I was working with them. I didn't have the course out yet, and I was coaching them. And I told them how to keep their kid in bed. He was older, 5 or 6 years old, I don't know. Anyway, so the dad said, do you know how late we were up doing this, putting him back to bed all night long because he kept getting up? There's a method in how you do it. Anyway, they went till 5 in the morning. And unfortunately, and the kid never got up again, by the way. It was that one night of sheer hell. And he said, all we did was drink wine and curse you out the whole night. It was a nightmare. And they thought that was going to be a whole week. It was one night. They couldn't believe it. So yeah, it's going to be a night of hell, but it's worth it. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Yeah, everyone wants the rainbow, but I always say you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. It's not going to be easy. When you first start taking charge with your kids, if they've been in charge in the past, they're going to fight back. They're going to be 10 times worse because because they know the old you. They think if they fight hard enough, they can get the old you back. So, get ready for the battle. It's worth it though. Spanking is an effective form of punishment. No, it's not. It's like yelling. It works in the short term in that it's a fear-based, you're afraid actually, it's a fear-based method, but it backfires down the road. So yeah, it's just because you don't know what else to do. That's why. Well, you're asking about your niece. I don't talk about other people's kids. I only teach parenting. Like if I was to give advice from someone about someone else's kids and the parents didn't like it, like I only teach parenting. 20-month-old has sensory issues. I hear this a lot, but I never quite know what that means. Sensory issues. They're very sensitive to certain sounds and that. Is that what that means? Then you'd have to work with me. That would be more of a specialty. You have to work with me, hire me for coaching, if it's that bad. But I never quite know when people just throw that out. It could mean a million different things. Are they very sensitive to touch, sounds, loud sounds, soft sounds? certain pitches, there's all different things. Okay. How to teach baby not to throw things from high chair. Why are they holding anything? If as soon as they throw something, I'd say no. And then I just feed them everything, hand feed. They wouldn't like it, but they'll get used to it. They'll eventually learn. How to stop 18-month-old breastfeeding. She's obsessed. My daughter was kind of like that, but she knew when I said something that was going to happen. I think I weaned her at 14 months. I decided once she's up and walking, that's it. I never told her that. She never would have walked. So anyway, she was 14 months old. And what I did was I never sat down. I wore different clothes, and I made sure I did it when her dad was around. I think we did it. We went away on holidays, and I think I did it then. So her dad was with us. So I just made sure I never sat down, and I was wearing different clothes where she couldn't get in there. So, and I did say no more, all gone, all gone. And then I showed her I had a different bra on, like it was completely different. So you just got to do it. You got to be willing to do the hard stuff to get to where you want to go. Everyone wants where they want to go, but you got to be willing to go through the hard stuff. She's going to be upset, or he's going to be upset for a while. That's okay. Transitions are always difficult. 3-year-old takes things from her younger brother and usually just go get my attention. Okay, 3 years old, put down, don't take things from younger brother. And every time he does, then the younger brother gets to play with his favorite toy for 10 minutes or something. So set that up. Check out the behavior board. That is free. It's in the link above. Or you can buy the big course that's 3 to 12 years old. Boot camp course. Yeah, I forgot what it was called for a second. I say the same thing so much every single day. You know how you can't hear yourself anymore? Like when I introduce my link and say what's in there, I can't hear it anymore. Just sounds like to me. 19-month-old throwing plate when he wants more because he doesn't have the patience to wait. When I take the freedom to feed himself, he doesn't care. He is fine with me feeding him. Okay, this is what you do. I hear this a lot all the time. I hear this a lot all the time. That didn't make any sense, did it? Anyway, so what you do is if they're fine with you feeding them, but you don't want to feed them, just get really inefficient at feeding them. Pretend that you're talking or thinking about something else. Get their food on a spoon and do it like this. Say, yeah, we'll do that. Oh, right, I forgot about that. Get real slow and real inefficient with it. Maybe just get a little speck on the spoon, or they'll eventually learn, hey, wait a minute, they don't know what the heck they're doing. I'll take over. And as soon as they throw something, you start feeding them again. So yeah, get useless at it. And they'll eventually learn. It's okay if they have a fit while you're doing that. Remember, you got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. Yeah, but you got to go through the storm first, right? So I got kombucha. That was loud. I drink, I love kombucha. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's really good. Okay, how can I get my 3-year-old to poop in toilet? Peeing is fine. Okay, there's usually 2, maybe 3 reasons why they won't poop in the toilet, especially if they've done it before. They might have had the plop experience, the splashback. They don't like that. Or they might have had the hanging experience when it's hanging there and pulling on their rectum. They don't like that. Or they don't like the feeling of the cold bum while they're pooping. They like it in the warm diaper. Okay, those are 3 reasons. So here's what you do. You get one of those little porta potties and you fill it up with toilet paper on the bottom. Make sure the bathroom's really warm. Sit them in there. Make sure there's a show that they only see while they're sitting trying to poop on the toilet, on the potty. And then you explain to them, look, it's going to be nice and warm and there's going to be no water to splash you. And so, yeah, so it'll kind of hit the bottom while they're still pushing. So sorry about all the graphic stuff, but you're all parents here. You've heard it all before. Okay, how long, someone is asking on YouTube, how long should I keep my 11 and 12-year-old cell phone for? Well, you never take media away for more than 24 hours, except in rare circumstances. Maybe once or twice a year while I'm coaching, we'll do it for 48 hours. It's that rare. You don't want to go to that next level unless you're working with me. It's a heightened, it's not worth it. It loses its effectiveness and it just builds resentment, unless you know how to back it up with other stuff while they've got the media blackout. But this, it's very rare that we do more than that. 24 hours, that's it. Okay, someone else, Foxtrotter5555 on YouTube says, I started implementing your strategies 2 to 3 weeks ago, and my 5-year-old has been doing great at home, but seems to be having a harder time listening to teachers and other leaders of activities. So it's gotten harder with that. Well, they're just adjusting to that. They have to listen at home, and it's going better at home, so they're going to go crazy at school. It will eventually move over to school and everywhere else because they're how old? 5 years old. It'll eventually spread everywhere. But right now, it's only been 2 or 3 weeks. How long were you not a leader? And in 2 and 3 weeks, you got to have realistic expectations. Give it, I would say, it's usually 3 to maybe 5 or 6 weeks before you really start to see results everywhere. It sort of cements in them. It becomes who they are. Right now, that's just who they are when they're with you. But also, there's other things you can do too. But let's just start with that for now. Okay, if you want to work with me, you have to hire me for that. If you want to know the next levels where we go. Okay, how to stop a toddler from banging hard or kicking on the door in the mornings. What do you mean? They're locked in somewhere? I don't know what you mean by that. Why are they locked in? I wouldn't lock a toddler in a room. I leave all the doors open. So I don't know. So I just got a message from my daughter. I'm just going to answer it quickly. My kids message me and it's, I get so excited. Doing a live. Okay, there we go. This is funny, actually. It's nothing to do with parenting, sort of. It's just my own personal stuff. My son's daughter is due. It's my very first grandchild, obviously his first child. And she's due in about a week. So I had a dream last night that she was born, and I went over to take a look at her, and I said, "Where is she?" And they said, "Oh, she's over in that corner." I went over there, and it was all blankets, and I tried to find her, and they said, "Oh, I forgot. So-and-so took her to the store." So I'm like, "What store?" And I go running to the store. They're gone. I could never see her. It's like they were all conspiring against me to see my granddaughter. It was driving me. I woke up so mad. It's funny. Okay. How do you stop your 3-year-old from hitting when she gets angry? She's had delayed speech, which has led her to struggle to communicate, but is speaking much better now, but is still hitting when angry. Okay, I have a course called Toddlers Who Hit, Bite, etc. It specifically addresses that. When they have a tantrum and they hit, that's different. That's my tantrum busting course. This other course is when they're aggressive just to get their own way. Okay, you might want to check that out. Otherwise, just get the free behavior board and you put down no, what is she doing? Hitting, no hitting. So every time she hits, you have to address it. There's a consequence. Check it out. Check out the behavior board first, actually. How do I encourage my 3-year-old, turned 3 in October, to listen to teachers at school better? He isn't hostile, but likes to walk around and sing and be in his own world. Well, there's nothing you can do if you're not there. Like, it's kind of hard. He's 3, though. I would say that's kind of a tough one because I don't know why he's doing that. What's he like at home? Like, do you have systems and routines at home? Does he have to sit at the dinner table? Like, are there situations where he has to be sort of do what he doesn't want to do at home? If he has that, if you've never taught him a skill like that, he can just get up and do whatever he wants all the time at home. He's going to be doing that at school too. So that's what I'm thinking is happening. You know, have you got routines at home? Does he have expectations at home where he has to sit at the dinner table and stuff like that? He can't get up and walk around. That's a bit of a tell for me. I'm assuming that's what's happening. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I could be though, but I don't think so. Okay, 2.5-year-old dislikes food, just wants a bottle of milk. Milk is liquid food. So my son was like that. He hated eating. He still is not a big foodie. He's 34. Food has never been a huge deal to him. But yeah, I was so stupid. I remember I thought, well, I'm going to get him to eat more of what he just wanted to eat pasta for a while there. And cheese. So I thought, no, I'm going to get him to eat more of this stuff. So I just thought, okay, he can only have milk. Well, for like 2 days, he just had milk. And then it dawned on me, it's liquid food. It's almost like a solid. So anyway, yeah, just cut down on the milk, water it down. I ended up watering it down is what I did. But that, I can't really give that. That's what I did. I'm not recommending that because I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor. But yeah, I watered down my son's milk and then he started eating more. But yeah, I didn't clue into that. 9-year-old brother constantly doing things to bug his sisters because he thinks it's fun. I don't know what's going on. Are they older, younger? I don't know what's going on there, and I don't know what your history is and what kind of parent you are. So I can't give great advice with that. I would check out the boot camp course that sets you up as a leader, and you could put stuff like that on the behavior board. That's a 5-week course. The first 3 weeks are behavior boards. One rule per week. So you'll end up with 3 different behavior boards. And then you go into what everyone wants. You don't use the behavior boards much at all. And you do the in the moment discipline, which is all I ever did. I never used a behavior board, but you got to learn how to do this first. You start small. You do 1 rule in the first week, then you've got 2 rules in week 2, then you got 3 rules in week 3. So check that out. It just gets you organized with all this leadership stuff, and it shows them that you know what you're doing, or you're certainly learning. I've been trying to do that, but 7-year-old will still hit his 5-year-old brother and say, oh, well, now you can go get my favorite toy. You just have to up it. Say, from now on, we're just going to do media blackout for 24 hours. Just up it. If he's upped it, you up it. You just go to the next level. Got to be careful how you say that, though. Don't say it, well, you know, you've been rotten, so now you're going to go. Just say, you know what? Yeah, this isn't really working, is it? Because you just keep hitting him anyway. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to go straight to 24-hour media blackout. Do you understand? That's how I would explain it, because he's 7. I would explain it like that. Let me know how that goes. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it worth it? Yeah. My 9-year-old shakes and gets upset if he doesn't get what he wants. Oh, God, you're going to hate my answer. Yells and screams, and the sister sees and hears. How do we get this behavior to change? You're going to hate me. You've taught him how to do that. At 9 years old, they only do what works. It must have worked in the past. It has to have, unless there's something, he's got some delayed, development or something. Yeah, you've taught him how to do that. So you can unteach him how to do that. Say, from now on, when you shake and get upset when you don't get your own way, you will not be getting your own way. So he's 9. I would explain that to him. And then start with, I would check out the course, the boot camp course, teaches you how to be a leader. But that's learned behavior. It means it must have worked in the past. It has to have, unless he's got some delayed development or something. And, he's special needs or something. But yeah, that's learned behavior. Okay. I always say, if they're doing something bad, it's all your fault. But isn't that what you want to hear? Like, don't you want it to be your fault? Because then it's your responsibility, which means you can fix it. Wouldn't you rather blame yourself than your children? When I was working with kids, and I used to mentor troubled teens, I mean, you can just imagine what that was like. And if they did something that they shouldn't have been doing, I always thought, this is what I did. I always thought, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? I'm not a good enough mentor. I always took responsibility for their actions. I saw them for 1 hour a week, and I took responsibility as their mentor. You should be doing that as a parent. You take full responsibility. Then you can also take credit when they're great. My kids used to get handwritten notes from the principals every year. And the principal would send a note to me saying something like this, like, if all the kids were as nice as your kids, school would be a total joy. And then they'd say, good work, Mom. Like, they knew I put the work into those kids. So that means I took the credit too. Take the blame, fix it, fix yourself, and then take the credit. I want you to take the credit. I want you to get those notes. I didn't even care about them after a while because I knew I got them every year. But yeah, take the credit too. If someone said to my kids, you're so great, I'd go, thank you. My kids thought that was funny. Oh, you're such nice kids. Thank you. Yeah, you take the blame and the credit. Works both ways. So I got to fly ahead because I missed so many questions and people might have left by now. So I don't want to answer a question if people aren't even here anymore. Okay, here we go. What if they're ADHD high on the spectrum? Oh, well, ADHD and high on the spectrum. Do you mean autism? Like, do you have a set of rules for this category like you have for raising toddlers? ADHD to me means nothing. That's where I learned all this stuff with, okay? Autism's different. Autism is only for coaching. I don't discuss that generally. I don't at all. If it is autism because on the spectrum usually means autism, right? So yeah, you'd have to hire me. Check out the link above if you want to hire me for coaching. Okay, I'm a first-time mom. My son is 14 months old. What can I do to get ahead of these behaviors before they form? Behaviors may form. but then you address them because they're toddlers. They're just going to come up with stuff. They work off impulses. They don't have any control over what they do. Like they just work off impulses. So you're not going to be able to prevent those things from happening, but once they happen, you can start to correct them. So, and also make sure you're consistent. If you're going to correct something, you got to do it every single time. You can't let stuff go. As they get older, you can pretend you don't see something. Like if you're breastfeeding a baby and you got a 4-year-old doing something you don't like, the only thing you can do is pretend you don't see it. You know, like if they know you've seen it, you have to address it. That's the only way you can cheat, is if they think you didn't see it. But yeah, just be consistent and calm. Never yell. Stay really calm. And have fun with them. You know, 99% of this is supposed to be fun. No one ever asks me about that. How do I have more fun with my kids? No one ever asks. Whenever people hire me for coaching, they always say, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be this much fun. Yeah, your rule is play hide and seek with your kids for 10 minutes every night. If you don't do it one night, and make sure you shortchange it just so that you can break the rule to show them how this is all done. If you only play for 9 minutes, the timer wasn't up and you quit 1 minute early, the next night you have to double it and play for 20 minutes. You got to connect with your kids. It doesn't work if you're not fun. Or why would you not want to be a fun parent? Why would you want a parent if you weren't going to have fun with your kids? Oops, I got to move over to TikTok now. I've been on here for 30 minutes. If you want to follow me over to TikTok, go ahead. If not, check out the link above. It has my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds, and my coaching. It's all in the link above. I'm moving over to TikTok, and I'm still on YouTube. That's where all these are saved. So I'll see you over on TikTok. Okay, let's move to TikTok. Just waiting. Got to make sure I'm on the right TikTok channel. Sometimes I'll go in my personal one, and all I talk about there is fitness. People are wondering, why are you talking about parenting? What are you doing? Okay. I'm just waiting for people to turn up now. TikTok's a lot, I'm just talking to YouTube now. TikTok's a lot slower for people to turn up. They feed out the live a lot slower, whereas Instagram, everyone turns up instantly. I don't know why. Hello, I am's a real regular. Madison, you've been here before too. Don't know Susanna Espinoza. Lelena. Haven't seen that before. Lelena. I see some really interesting names in coaching, because I hear all the latest names, right? So some of them are really, really cute. Okay, so welcome to my live. If you're coming over from Instagram, welcome. Thanks for moving over. I just did Instagram. I did my Facebook live earlier. I'm quite new on Facebook. That's actually a good one to catch me. I don't have them scheduled yet. It's a good one to catch me doing a live, because I only get like maybe 50 people on those ones. So I usually can answer all the questions. So that's what's good about those. Okay. Almost 3-year-old who dumps toys at preschool. Well, that's up to the preschool to sort of manage that. But what goes on at home? Like, do you allow that stuff at home? I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. I know I'm a broken record, but it just bears repeating. Just a sec here. Okay. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 2 is for you. Number 1 is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. And that teaches them how to respect toys also. And number 3 is when you want to bond with them, you enter their world. You don't go to the nail salon to bond with a toddler. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is similar. When you want to discipline a toddler, you enter their world. They're not about words. They don't want to discuss big emotions and big feelings. That's garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good. Has nothing to do with the toddler. They're about consistent corrective actions, not words. And because they learn through repetition. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure outable. They haven't formed yet. They can't figure themselves out yet. I mean, I'm 63. I'm still trying to figure myself out. How can a child overcome stammering? Yeah. Well, how old are they? That's a tough one. I have a lot of opinions on that. I have some experience with that. Not in my family, but I do have some experience with coaching that. That's a really tough one. If you want to hire me, you can hire me. I have some ideas, but it is certainly not a cure-all. It's just some coping mechanisms to help them through. But yeah, no cure-all. And they're all different too. Like some of them have a hard time with T's. Some of them have a hard time just starting out with a vowel. Some of them can't even get started. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it isn't. So yeah, there's no general answer is what I'm saying. I'd have to figure it out. And even then, no guarantee with that. It's about building confidence usually, getting them used to stammering in front of others and just saying, they just have to accept the fact they're going to be doing that. 2-year-old hits his hand when he doesn't get his own way. What can I do? Doesn't really hits his head with his hand. Oh, just say no and just hold his hand away from his head. You got to physically restrain them when they get violent. If they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you physically restrain them just for a few seconds or whatever, then let go. If he does it again, say no, and then just keep doing it over and over. And I would even stop looking at him and saying no, just intervene every time. Yeah, but they're going to do stuff. Any idea why my child after 8 months would be so scared of nursery? You mean their nursery, their bedroom? And what do you mean by after 8 months? So they're 8 months old and all of a sudden they're afraid of their own nursery? I don't quite know what you mean by that. How is that manifesting itself? I don't quite know what you mean. Did I already answer this? It's on YouTube. From Laura. I don't know if I answered this and I can't remember. Sorry. But anyway, recommendations for a 3-year-old daughter who makes a scene whenever she doesn't get her way. She also keeps taking away from her younger brother and always wants to wear his clothes. I don't know about the second part, but if she makes a scene whenever she doesn't get her own way, so just ignore it. That's her way of getting her own way. It obviously upsets you because she probably wouldn't be doing that. So yeah, it's the drama stuff because it upsets you. So check out she's 3. Check out my free behavior board, or you can check out my boot camp course, or you can hire me. But yeah, she's kind of thinks she's in charge. They often, by the age of 3, they often find their power. If you're a leader, they don't, because they already know, hey, you know what you're doing. But if no one's leading and they're used to getting their own way and you're not consistent, by the age of 3, it's almost like they go like this. They go, wait a minute, no one's in charge here. I think I'll do it. So they often find their power at the age of 3. Perhaps that's what's happened. But if you're a leader, they don't do that. They pick up on that energy. They know that there's no point. They know there's a leader, so why would they even try? Because they're happy when that's the thing, is they don't want to lead. They're happy when they've got a leader. Whenever I worked with kids, the more feisty and difficult they were, the quicker they were for me to turn around. Because it's almost like they go, oh, finally a leader. Woo! It's like they've been screaming for one all along. They all desperately need, crave, and want a leader. If you don't provide that for them, they're going to be very vulnerable and susceptible out there in the world, because they're going to search out a leader because they need it. It's an actual need that they have. Children, they need a leader. So you want to be the leader. Otherwise, they're going to be very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to be very vulnerable out there in the world. So make sure you're the leader at home. They'll come to you with everything right through the teen years because they trust you. I distract our 15-month-old instead of saying no all the time. Advice on crying after being told no. Well, that's okay. They can learn to hear the word no. You just say no and you take something away and let them cry. And then you can distract them if you want, but don't worry about it. It's okay. Crying is their way of accepting the fact that they don't get what they want, when they want, and how they want it. The earlier they learn that, the better. You don't want a 15-year-old still getting upset when they don't get their own way. They have to learn that they can't always have their own way. It's okay that they learn that. Their brain has to process things aren't always going to go my way. The sooner they learn that, the easier your life and their life will be. 6 years old to get my son under control is 6 years old to get my son under control. So you're saying, is that too old to get your kid under control? Are you really asking that? I specialize in teenagers. I get hired to work with 18-year-olds. So no, it's never too late. If they're not living with you and they're not dependent upon you, yeah, I can't help you. But at 6 years old, they're probably still living with you and they're probably still dependent upon you. So yeah, 6 years old, that's tiny. My favorite age is teenagers. I started my business working with teens in crisis. So yeah, if we can do that, we can do a 6-year-old, right? By the way, you don't want to hire me with a teenager. It's a lot harder. So do it now. If you do have a teenager and you're in trouble, I specialize in teenagers. Yeah, it's hard work. It's doable. It's hard work. The Kardashians, yeah. It's not that they're bad people, but you don't want them leading your children, do you? You know, you want to do it. Why is it hard for me to play and have fun with my child? You wouldn't believe how often I hear this. Um, oh, I just so many stories I want to tell you, but yeah, just with coaching, how this comes up. You wouldn't believe how many parents say that. They'll say stuff like this. They'll cry often, and dads will cry too. They say, I'll be honest, I don't enjoy spending time with my kids. I find them boring. These are highly educated, successful people who admit that, and they feel like crap telling me. And I just laugh and I say, yeah, I hear this a lot. They go, really? I say, yeah. Kids aren't all that exciting if you haven't found something that you can enjoy doing with them. I love water slide parks. I love being physical. We used to play a lot of balloon tennis in the house. You know, I found stuff that I like doing. I remember once I had a friend over while I was putting laundry away. And as soon as I started putting laundry away, the kids started running and screaming. And my friend said, what's going on? And I said, oh, it's kind of embarrassing. And I said, oh, okay, I'll show you. Every time I did laundry, I put all my underpants on my head, and the leg holes were the eye holes. And I would scream out to the kids, the panty monster's getting ready, so start running. So that was just a game we did every single day. There's nothing more fun than your kids screaming in terror, running away from you. I always found things that I like doing with my kids. So yeah, get creative. If you want to hire me, I got a million ideas. Do you have different advice for autistic toddlers? Absolutely. I don't discuss autism on here. That's only for coaching because it's a specialty, and I don't discuss it on here. I don't generalize with autism because each child has their own unique needs. So, yeah. God, I used to love that. As soon as I start doing the laundry, they would just run screaming. How is that not fun? Torturing your children is the panty monster. How is that not fun? Oh God, never mind. I have so many different things I used to do. I was insane. That was one of my favorites. My mom used to say to me, she says, how do you do that? And I said, what? And she goes, you're insane with your kids, but they respect you. They never stepped a toe out of line. And I said, because I'm fun. That was my power. I was fun. I was playing with it. Why on earth would they? We were like best friends. They wouldn't be rude to a best friend. Yeah, I used to do some crazy stuff. My mother thought I was nuts. Okay, is nap time a must for a 2-year-old? Nope, both my kids stopped regular naps at 12 months old. They had accidental naps, but they just weren't big sleepers. They're all different. I do the same with vacuuming. They like to be chased, but there you go. You see, you can just have so much fun with kids. They're just a riot. I always used to say I just got my little victims. I used to torture them with all this kind of stuff. We just had a blast. There we go. My mom was so much fun, and she was my best friend. I always listened to her. Yeah, you were a leader, right? And leaders are fun too. I think the way I look at it, a leader is like a really good sports coach that you like, brings out the best in you. But also, if you cheat in a game, they have you sitting on the bench, so they still deal with you when you do something bad. But then they're still your cheerleader. Okay, come on, let's go back. They don't keep berating you for what you did wrong. They bring out the best in you. Would you ever be rude to a coach that you just loved and you adored and you looked up to? Would you ever be rude to that coach? Think about it. That's what I do. That's parenting. That's leadership. That's how I look at it. They love being with you. You're fun. And I used to say, like, I remember once someone said, wow, you can talk to your kids like that? They were getting on my nerves because they were goofing around a lot and I was trying to do something. And I said, just scram, get out of my face. And they went, and then they just wandered away laughing like it was no big deal because we had humor. We just had fun. I could say that because they knew how I felt about them. They knew I loved being with them. But yeah, scram, get out of my face. You know, you're bothered. And she said, if I said that to my kids, they just would have died. And I thought, yeah, my mom used to say that to me too. I'd go, okay. You want them to have that confidence in how you feel about them. And if you enjoy your children, they're very confident about how you feel about them. How to be a leader. Keep watching. Just keep watching. Or I do have a course on leadership. If you have a 3 to a 12-year-old, the boot camp course would be for you because it teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. We start slow. It's all paced out. It's not 5 weeks of hell. It's all paced out. It's a slow start. It's a slow start. By week 3 and 4, you're kind of at the height, and then it usually should get a little bit easier. Blah, blah, blah. Is there a difference between child not seeing you as a leader versus them just being strong-willed? Strong-willed has nothing to do with this because you're working with that. Strong-willed, there's nothing wrong with that. They can still be respectful. Like my kids had a voice. They were not obedient little soldiers. They had a voice. They would say, Mom, I think you were unfair with that. And I'd go, was I? Yeah, I was. Actually, I was. What can I do to make it up to you? Oh, well, how about you take us to the park or do this or that? So yeah, strong-willed has nothing to do with this. Work with it. You want that. That's a good thing. Yeah, my kids had a voice. Believe me, if I messed up, they'd look at each other like this because they knew Mom was going to be in trouble. What to do when you're overwhelmed with a newborn? Sleep when they sleep, and just if newborns for the first 3 months especially, mom and baby healthy and happy. That's all you should care about. Mom and baby happy and healthy. That's it. And sleep when the baby sleeps. I just told my son and his girlfriend this. She's expecting now in about a week. And it's my first grandchild. And I don't give parenting advice because why would I do that? Unless someone asks. And you're here, so you're soliciting it. Anyway, and so yeah, I just said, you know what I did wrong when my son was born? With my daughter, I didn't, but I did it right. But with my son, I didn't sleep during the day. Like I'd be up all night with him sometimes, and then I wouldn't sleep during the day. Big mistake. Sleep deprivation, like my eyeball. I needed toothpicks to stay, and you can't be happy or anything, or, you're very susceptible to getting sick too if you're just not getting any sleep. So I said, yeah, just try and sleep during the day if you have a bad night. What do your kids do now? I don't discuss my adult children because they're not on here by choice. So I just don't discuss them as adults. They're 34 and 29 years old. And my daughter and I, actually, we both live downtown. We see each other every single day at the gym and that. So yeah, but my son lives further out, but I don't discuss them. Okay. Are you an ABA therapist? Oh gosh, no. I'm just a mom, and I volunteered with kids for 52 years. So yeah, I'm experience-based. Kids taught me all this. I'm not a therapist. My clients actually say you are, but I'm not. I do therapy, they say, but I'm not trained in any way. I have no formal education, none, zilch. I'm under no umbrella but my own. Kids taught me all this. They taught me everything. And they're the ones who said, Lisa, I was working with troubled teens, and they said, Lisa, you got to teach what you do because no one's ever talked to us like you do. So they're the ones who told me to start my business. It would never have crossed my mind. Anyway, and then I did career counseling. It was really expensive. It was $5,000 for 5 days. This was probably 25 years ago. Yeah, it would have been about 25 years ago. Anyway, and it's 5 days, 8 hours a day, and it was intensive. It was intelligence testing, and it was oh my God, it was so intense. And they said, this is really weird. We usually get several careers that people can go into. And they said, there's only one, and it's not even a career. It said, teach parenting. And they didn't even talk about kids in the whole 5 days. There was no talk about parenting or kids. Everything pointed to teaching parenting. Isn't that bizarre? So, and I could have saved myself $5,000 if I just listened to those teenagers. So yeah, I think I was just meant to do this. I understand kids. I know how to get respect. And I like them. I think they're fun. Oh, that was a good question. Let me go back. Shoot, where was it? It flipped. Here we go. How to deal with constant negotiations even after discussing boundaries. Gee, I don't even know what to say to that. I'm trying to be tactful here. You mean you actually argue with your children? You allow arguing? So you've set boundaries and then they can argue the boundary? You don't do that. Check out my boot camp course. You don't do that. Yeah. If there's a law there and I said bedtime is 8 o'clock, if the kids had argued it, I would have said, well, bedtime is 8 o'clock. Like I wouldn't engage in that at all. Yeah, never mind. I don't want to answer that one. Someone said, why are you ignoring me? Don't play victim with me. I don't like that. I probably will now. I just don't like that because I'm not ignoring you. I'm serving other people. It's not, you see what I mean? I don't like that. Gotta make sure I don't answer that person now that I've said that. Yeah, I don't like that because it kind of devoids like other people aren't as important as you. I got a whole bunch of questions on here. What age can they be reasoned with? Well, there are certain things that you reason with, and there's certain things that you don't. Like if you've laid down the law and said, by the way, you have to sit at the dinner table, you can't get up and walk away. You don't reason with that. But if you say to your kids, okay, bedtime is 8 o'clock, and if they're like 9 or 10 years old or whatever it is, I don't know, they might say, hey, can we discuss what bedtime? Can we maybe discuss maybe that's not fair? And you might say, okay, yeah, you're right. Let's maybe we can make it a half hour later. So you can reason with that. But once you've laid down the law and you've said, no, actually, I've decided I want to keep it at 8. At that point, you don't reason. Once you've said, no, that's the way it's going to happen, then I stop reasoning. The rest of it, if I feel I'm being unfair, I'm open to reasoning with kids. But if they reason if they're trying to argue everything, there's a fine line there. Like when do you cross that? Yeah. Okay. Is the best way to say no to a 14-month-old to say no and then distract? Okay. Yes. Okay. I consider them babies till they're about 16 months old. So 0 to 15 months, I consider a baby. And I use more distraction or redirection, but I don't distract with lollipops. I distract with like a book or something. So if they're doing something I don't like, I would say no, and then I would remove them from that. If they have an absolute fit, then I might sit and read their favorite book out loud to myself. I don't talk to them. I don't look at them. I might go, ooh, and the fox jumped over that. Ooh, and that. And the idea is they'll come and sit in your lap. So you haven't bribed them. Here, you want a lollipop? You don't distract like that. You distract by doing, maybe I'd go sit and play blocks in a corner and hopefully they'll come over. But that's up to about 15 months because they're still sort of babies. I don't know. When does it cross over? I don't know. Is it exactly 15 months and one day? I don't know. It's about 15 months that I still sort of consider them babies. How do you get others not to discipline your child? Like, for example, grandma. Okay, I get asked this a lot, but I don't actually teach how to manage adults. So in your life, but here's what I would do. Okay, I would say when you micromanage my parenting, it makes me feel bad. Now, if they don't understand that, if they don't have the compassion and respect for you to understand that, I can't help you. But I would talk about your feelings. I would say it makes me feel bad when you undermine my parenting. What can you say to that? What can they say to that without being kind of bitchy? Do you know what I mean? Like if they're hurting your feelings, if they don't stop, I can't help you. That's just who they are. You just have to put up with some people. I remember years ago, I knew someone, and they were one of these types that they were very passive aggressive, and they were very good at it. But I didn't catch on right away. Now I'm 63 now. I would like catch on right away, but I didn't catch on right away. No matter what I said, this was the response. Why would you do that? Shouldn't you do it this way? They were very bossy and controlling, but passive aggressive, always kind of insulting you, but questioning it. Like, oh, why don't you do it this way? So in other words, everything I'm doing is completely wrong. But I'm not an insecure person, so it didn't really bother me. It was just annoying having to always explain yourself. Like it's just, I always felt like I had to explain everything I was doing. Then they'd question, no matter what I said, they'd question everything. Very annoying person, actually. And I thought, one day I came up with this brilliant idea, and I thought, I wonder if this will work. So you know what I did? The next time this person said to me, why would you do that? Do you know what I said? I said, crazy Lisa. And literally they went, it had been a year or two of this, because it's someone I saw a lot. And it was about a year or two of this. And they literally went like this. When I said crazy Lisa, they were shocked and they never said another thing like that to me ever again. I guess it was the way I said it too. Crazy Lisa. And I just stared at them like, no more. It ends here. Boy, it worked like a charm. Funny thing is, other people I told that were trying to deal with the same person, and they did it too. And that person caught on that we were all managing that. Finally, we were managing that person. But yeah, isn't that a good one? Crazy Lisa. What can they say to that? It was great. Why didn't I think of that before? I was only like in my early 30s. That was 30 years ago. So, you get wisdom as you get older, right? How do you change things, your leadership, when you've been doing it the wrong way for so long? That's like anything. How do you lose weight if you've been overeating forever? How do whatever. You just have to learn, you just have to make a decision that you're going to change. You have to make that decision. Don't just do it for your kids, do it for yourself. It feels great to be friends with your kids who respect you. It feels wonderful. You'll sail right through the teen years. It was great. You have the odd little hiccup here and there, but nothing big. So it feels great. It's worth it. It's like anything, it's worth it. Okay, my 2-year-old acts up so bad when her dad is around. Why do you think that is? Well, maybe the dad's the pleaser. He lets her get away with everything, or him get away with everything. I don't know. Um, I'm guessing that's what it is. Yeah. I'm just thinking about a million different things you could do, but there's too many. Because I'd need to assess the situation before I could really tell you. Because I don't know exactly what's going on. What kind of dad is he? Is he just the pleaser, gives into everything? How do I not engage? You don't engage. Now, you mean like even with that adult I was talking, it's kind of the same idea. You manage yourself. So when I said to that person, that adult, I said, crazy Lisa. And I know the tone of voice I had to. I can remember it. I just went, crazy Lisa, just like that. It ended right away. Never came at me again. And when you're dealing with kids too, you've got to have that resolve. You've got to have that confidence. Fake it till you make it. Just keep watching. I remember a couple of years ago, I came on TikTok about almost 2 years ago now. And I've got thousands of videos on there, I'm sure. But anyway, this one client said she was really struggling with her tone of voice and trying to act confident. So she just watched all my videos. She said she did a whole nighter just watching. Oh, God, it must have been agony. But anyway, and I said, what were you doing that for? And she goes, I was channeling my inner Lisa. She goes, I just pretended I was you. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. It's on the behavior board. She said it was just work like a charm. A lot of it is tone of voice and body language. A lot of it. But yeah, it must have been agony listening to me all night. God, I can't stand listening to anything I say. I literally, if I have to hear a video of mine, it makes me feel ill because I've got so many videos. I have to do so much of that. I've got someone doing most of it now, but yeah, it's agony listening to yourself. You always sound whiny to yourself. It's like, God, how annoying am I? How to know I have anger issues? Everything makes me mad. Are you a kid or a parent? I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, anger. You're born with a temper, okay? And it manifests itself when you're a toddler, you have tantrums. So that's how you know that you're going to have a temper when you grow up. It's just the exact same. It's a temperament. And that's why tantrums come from someone who has a temper. I don't actually have one. My daughter doesn't. But my son had tantrums. And it's something that you have to be aware of it, and you have to know the signs, and you have to just say, okay, I'm losing it. And even if you're sort of justified for being upset, you're not justified for losing it. There's a difference between being upset and expressing it. It's not fair to other people to let it fly around other people. Yeah, you just have to be self-aware and make a change and say, you know what, I'm going to change this. But it also, oh God, I could go on for hours about that one. Yeah, I don't want to go on about it because I could feel a rant coming on about how you manage tempers and how some adults don't do it very well and others do it very well and the difference, but you don't really want to hear all that. Okay. Yeah, you're obviously, I would actually, if everything's making you mad right now, I would search out therapy. I would want to find out why. I don't do that. I mean, my clients say I do, but I don't. I'm not a trained therapist at all. But if you're really struggling with your kids and you want to have more patience in the family, you could hire me for that. And we go through what made you angry. Where did it come from? Probably came from something in your childhood. Usually does. So we would have to assess that. And but I don't go backwards very much. I figure it out and then we move forward. So if you want to go back and rehash stuff and work it through that way, that's not me. I don't do that. I don't discuss problems. I discuss solutions. So yeah, that's why I never became a therapist, because I thought I don't want to discuss problems. I want to discuss solutions. Okay, 9-year-old throws a fit when told something, then does what she wants. Okay, she's just out of control. Check out my boot camp course, or you might want to hire me for coaching if it's next level. If it's red zone, like next level, really, really difficult, because that boot camp course is just more for the norm, what most parents struggle with. But if it's next level and you're really going crazy, you'd want to hire me for coaching. Yeah. And it's a lot of people do both actually. They like the boot camp course and they want me going with them. They want to clarify stuff, or there might be something that's next level, but not everything. So, but anyway, I would suggest just maybe check out the boot camp course. If you think you're next level and you want my help with something, I assess the situation and give you more, specific things to do with your family. Because 9 years old, that's kind of old to be still doing that. I really need help. My 22-month-old will not stop aggressively biting the dog when mad or excited. You're going to hate me. If you really cannot keep that dog safe, find another home for it. I actually have clients who've done that. I'm such an animal lover. I would never allow an animal to be hurt. So if you cannot keep them separate and keep that animal safe until your child outgrows that, I would rehome it. That's my recommendation. I'm such an animal lover. I taught my kids knew you never pick up the dog and never ever stick your hand in the bird cage. And they never did. They just learned from a really young age not to. Do you work with teachers? No, I don't. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, but it's parenting I teach. And you said you're from Australia. My kids were born, my son was born at Nepean Hospital in Sydney, and my daughter was born at the Wesley in Brisbane. And I raised my kids in Australia. So I'm half Australian. I was there for about 20 years. I love Australia. I only came back to Canada because my mother was ill. So, right fighter, 15-year-old adopted son who challenges everyone and lives for conflict. Right fighter. Yeah, right fighting is fun, isn't it? Right fighting, it always says to me that they're insecure about losing and failing, that they see that as a bad thing. I taught my kids, if you're not failing, you're not doing it right. Like, you got to fail to learn. That's how you learn. You got to try new things. If you're not trying new things and failing, you're not going to grow. Anyway, I was adopted, by the way, so I understand that. I understand adoption. I get a lot of clients and we discuss how you tell your kids they were adopted and all that. Adopted kids have trauma, parent them differently. Are you nuts? What? Adopted kids have trauma? What a blanket statement that is. No. I'm from Australia too, near Nepean. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm married in Australia, and I lived in Canada. I married in Australia and went down there, had kids down there, and then my mother got ill. So we were separated at that time. So I said, it's actually quite funny. So I said to my ex-husband, I said, my mom's not doing well. She was elderly. And I said, I want to move back because now that we're not together and my mom needs me, I'm the only daughter. And so I said, I want to move back to Canada. And he says, you're not taking my kids away from, he said, over my dead body. And I said, well, that can be arranged. But I said, I would never take kids away from their dad. I said, no, I want you to move too. He's Australian. I said, I want you to move with us. And he says, that's not going to happen. 7 months later, we were all here. We always put the kids first. So, and he loved my mom too. So he understood. And we never fought or anything. Yeah, it's funny. Over my dead body. That can be arranged. I'm kidding. Okay, adopted kids have trauma. Parent them differently. What a bunch of crap. What a bunch of garbage. I was adopted. Parent them differently. Are you insane? Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? Crazy. I don't see videos about hitting themselves. I said I have a course on that. Toddlers who hit, bite, etc. Also, I've done a bunch of videos on that. Look at my toddler playlist, and I'm on TikTok, aren't I? Look at the playlist for toddlers. There might be something in there. Just look up toddlers hitting. Might be something in there. Yeah, I'm Canadian. It was funny because when I lived in Australia, I moved down there and I just thought, well, I'll just sort of get to know some other Canadians and Americans, right? It might make my transition easier. I was there for about 20 years, never had one North American friend. Isn't that bizarre? Just never happened. I met the odd North American, but we just never clicked, But isn't that funny? I was there for all those years. I was completely ensconced in the Australian way. Yeah, it was funny. Do you ground as punishment for a 13-year-old? No way. No. I don't have, I don't do grounding at all. Yeah. Teenagers, I don't have a course on that. If you want to work with me, you'd have to hire me for that. Teenagers are usually 5 sessions because there's a lot of work to do. You've had 13 years to build where you are, so we have to undo some stuff and then create some new stuff, some new skills for parenting. I'm going to read my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. I don't know why. I always have to look at my list. I already know it all. I don't know why. I wrote it. I know it. Anyway, I always have to look at it. And then I never even read it usually. Okay, so you listen to understand and show empathy. This is for teenagers. You listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it, and they already know it anyway. Okay, number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. It's a blanket statement, so it isn't everything, but pretty much everything. It goes something like this. You say, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? So you got to give and take a bit, right? And number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff in case it happens. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, say something like this. Well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age, and laugh it off. Okay, it's not a big deal. Don't micromanage everything they do. They're allowed to make mistakes just like you did. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm in Vancouver. And if you know Vancouver, I live in Olympic Village, right downtown. So I'm a city girl. I felt like I really felt like I was giving up a lot of myself. I raised my kids in the suburbs, and it just was never me. I can't cope with that. It was okay because I love mothering, but it was a huge sacrifice for me. So as soon as my kids were grown, I hightailed it downtown. And even when they were little, I was always fantasizing about moving to the city. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't matter where it is. It just has to be a big city. Like New York would be great too. Any big city, I'm happy in. It's just me. I just have to be in a city for some reason. And I'm a very boring person, but I need action around me all the time. It's really weird. Okay, Sun Peaks. Oh, I don't know where that is, but I've heard of it. I'm going to look it up later. Sorry. Sun Peaks. I'm curious. Oh, a map didn't come up. It came up as a company. Anyway, okay, I'm going to get going now. I've been on here for 36 minutes on TikTok. I did Facebook earlier today. I'm just trying to grow on Facebook. I'm kind of new on there. I do my TikTok. If you want to see all the crappy videos that I do and the good ones, they're all on TikTok because I control TikTok. Most of it, it turns out someone else is putting my videos on there too. Someone who works with me. So I didn't know that. And what they do is on the other platforms, they just take the best of my videos. But I put all my videos that I think is important for you to hear. I put them all on TikTok. So if you want to see them all, they're on TikTok. If you just want to see the best videos, they're on my other platforms. So anyway, okay, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. And we'll talk again tomorrow. I've got my scheduled lives tomorrow night that's linked above. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk soon. Take care.